What's good, beautiful people? It is your girl Shani here, also known as your little big sis. Why? Because I might be small in stature, but I'm also very big on the sisterly love. And I'm so glad that you all are back here with me this Friday on Always Keep the Faith Fridays. We made it, guys. It may have been a rough week. It may have been a great week. No matter what, it's the end of the week and we're going into the weekend. So this week, I'm actually really excited because I am going to have a special guest on the show in a little bit. Actually, one of my first guests outside of my husband, which he was technically my first guest, but seeing that he's my husband and part of my household, I kind of count this also as my first guest, because not to take anything from you, Thaddeus, I love you, of course I do, but this will probably be like my first outside guest, I'll say that. And what I'm going to be talking about today is just something that was a part of my life for a long time, and that is the single life. I know, you're probably looking like, Shani, you're married now. Why are you even going to be talking about this? But because I was actually single for longer than I've been married, and I lived more of my life as a single person than I have so far as a married person. It's one of those crazy topics that changes from generation to generation and from time to time. And I think it would be fun to talk about, and not just from my perspective, obviously from a perspective of someone that is currently single and just kind of how they're feeling in this day and age, bringing some light, a positive light to living single, because a lot of times people kind of put marriage on this high pedestal as like the ultimate thing to achieve, or as the thing that if you don't get married at some point in time that somehow there's something wrong with you, and that's very much not the case. And I kind of just wanted to have that discussion because I had that discussion offline a lot of times with friends, with family members, just in general. And I thought, you know what, why don't I bring somebody on that I'm close to, that we have these types of discussions on a regular basis, and kind of share that discussion with you. So a couple months ago and a couple episodes back, which if you haven't had a chance to, you can check it out. It is 3 marriage lessons in 3 years. Me and my husband got on camera and we kind of shared a little bit about our testimony of being married, and also a couple lessons that we learned by being married. But one of the things that we both talked about is the fact that we got married at a older age. And that means that we had spent a significant amount of time as adults single. And one of the things that I remember during that time is a lot of times people feeling, because I hadn't gotten married yet and it seemed like I just, I looked the part, so they thought I was attractive. They thought that I had a lot of things going for myself. I bought a home when I was in my late 20s, so that was something that I didn't wait to have a husband or family to do. I like to travel. I was involved in a lot of things, and I didn't necessarily feel like the ultimate goal for my life or the ultimate level of success was just to get married and have a family, even though that's obviously something that I desired. I realized that I wanted to just live and experience life, and I could do that as a single woman. And that's one of the things that I always thought was just so important to make sure that I shed light on, just because the world is changing. And also because, unfortunately, I don't think people have the same amount of reverence and respect and even desire for marriage as they used to, at least some part of the generation. And there's other parts of the generation, I really think the millennials, who want to get married and also want to have thriving marriages, but want to make sure they're in a good space to be married. So I am going to bring a friend on now who is just going to talk a little bit about these things. I'm married, she's single, we're going to chop it up a little bit, and then we're also going to play a little game. At least I'm going to play a game with her. She doesn't even know exactly how this game is going to go yet, so this should be fun because it's going to be super impromptu. And I figured that you all hopefully will enjoy this conversation, and maybe it'll even make some conversations happen with you and your friends. Who knows? We'll see. We'll check it out. But let's go ahead and get to my guest. Hey guys, I am back, and I told you that I would be back with one of my friends. This is my sis Monica, a sister from another mister, and like I told you all, she's a beautiful woman, but she's a beautiful single woman. And I'm a beautiful, look, child, you already know. You already, not only that, but let me just, public service announcement. Fellas that are watching this, okay? Don't DM me about nothing, okay? Well, hold on, DM me. Right. Let me check your profile. If it lines up, you never know. Maybe the Lord is doing something. Amen. If you don't hear from me, though, you already know. Okay?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
No response is a response.
I might get some DMs. I might. Okay. I'm not gonna block her blessings if it's a blessing.
Amen.
But if it ain't a blessing, you're gonna be blocked. Okay. And just already know. Just already know. Okay. But like I said in my intro, we just wanted to talk. Me and her have these conversations all the time. Me, her sister, my sister, and I said, you know what, Monica? Let's get on camera. Let's have these conversations on camera. She's always on Instagram, which her Instagram is at Summertime Fine in the wintertime. So I'll make sure I put that on here so you can see it. But she has so much wisdom as well. Even though we joke and we have jest, but she is truly a woman of God. She has a lot of wisdom. And she also is very secure in who she is as a woman. As a single woman who does desire to be married, but is good even though she isn't right now, just like I was at that time and at that age. We have a couple years in between us, but at the same time, I have lived what she's living now. And at the same time, I realize even as a married woman, it's not too far gone from me how I lived before. Right. So we just thought it would be fun to kind of have that conversation about singles, about married people, and then I have a this or that game that we will play that I think will be fun too. That will pick her brain a little bit. So what would you say are some of just the misconceptions, especially in this kind of generation where, you know, women seem to be making more than the counterparts. You know, men may or may not be about marriage like they used to. There's even some women in some cases proposing to men instead of vice versa. Like, what do you think are some of the misconceptions about what people think of singles in this generation right now?
Gosh, it's a great question. I think I can only speak from a woman's perspective as it relates to misconceptions.
Understandable.
I've only been a woman.
Absolutely.
So who are me to talk on behalf of the men?
We might have to have Thad. Maybe I'll have Thad do. Right. He probably ain't.
Right, but it's okay though. We'll have to see. I think one of the misconceptions that people probably have for millennial singles is that, like, especially women, that we're dangerous, like we can't be trusted. I know even in the workforce, to be a principal, to be in some level of leadership, they prefer for you to be married. Why? Because they feel like you have more to lose. Yeah. Which in turn means, for whatever reason, you're more responsible. Right. And the truth of the matter is, child, we're not worried about y'all. Look. Okay? We're not worried about y'all, okay? So, and 90% of the time, you know, and I think we've said this before, you can't lose what's yours, you know what I mean? Right. And so, although those things do happen, I don't think developing this callous towards singles, especially single women, is a healthy approach, because it tends to make it feel like, oh, I can only be friends with single people.
What I would say to that too is, use a certain level of wisdom and discernment. Like, if this person is genuinely your friend, you know your friend. And I know now that I'm married, and thankfully, the husband that I have, I trust him, he trusts me. We are very good at making sure that, you know, friends that we have, they're all of our friends. And even if we had friends from before, we've introduced them to each other to bring that comfortability. But someone like Monica, as beautiful as she is, that's his little sister. For sure. And I think that's one of the things that people have to remember, is that someone's singleness shouldn't be a threat to you or your marriage. Absolutely. If it's so much of a threat, then there's other things that you need to probably address when it comes to you and your relationship.
There was an author, and I was scrolling through IG, I think Bishop Greg Davis, shout out to Bishop Greg Davis. Nice. He was saying in one of his stories, nobody can physically steal anyone. Nobody is forcing anybody by gunpoint. So anything stolen wasn't really stolen, it was a decision. And so when we get to these spaces and places where, oh, this person stole, no, two adults made a decision, and we're not considering the consequences of that decision. And so, when, to your point, you need to look at the situation in totality, not the outlying factors. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that those things don't happen and we don't lack empathy or sympathy, because things happen and it's unfortunate. We don't wish ill will to any relationship. But on the flip side, I just don't like the callous or the kind of like, oh, she's single. You know how them singles...
Or sometimes making singles out to be a villain or being there to attack, you know, your marriage. Of course, there's a good thing in, as a married couple, hanging around other married couples. Iron sharpens iron when it comes to those things too. But I think when you look at people as individuals, then people that are individuals all can bring something
Correct.
to the table, and their marital status doesn't change the wisdom that they have necessarily, doesn't change who they are all around. It may have changed certain experiences because they have had an experience maybe that you haven't, but I think that's sometimes a part of it too, is like, just see this person as an individual first.
Right. That's cultivating and giving people spaces and chances, and you know, if it doesn't fit for your marriage, okay, I understand, but just labeling all singles in that way just because they are single, they're always considered untrustworthy or not reliable is wild, and I think a major misconception. So I know for me as a single woman, you know, if there are women that want to be my friend that are married, I let them choose me. Like, I literally don't or if I end up being in relationship with a male who is married, I try to acknowledge their wife so that they all understand, like, this is a business. A lot of times if I do have male friends, I was friends with them before they got married, so it was cool. But if they're new male friends and they're married, it's usually a business relationship first, and then I always acknowledge their wife so that they understand, like, for me, that's just common courtesy and respect. Whether me and her end up being close or not is really kind of up to her and them, and if they decide that it's cool. But yeah, like, I just, honestly, we're not really, like, worried about y'all. Like, I know for me, like, I've gone on social media, be like, oh, he's cute. You find out he's married, unfollow. Because, you know, what you want me to do? Stare at, like... There's no potential there. Like, oh, that's cute. Oh, wife, double tap, unfollow. Let me move on. Like,
which is wise.
Yeah, we all want our own stuff.
There's wisdom in that.
A strong age. Wisdom.
Okay. I personally, because I got married at 36, always found myself behind the mark. So I was single. Then all my friends got engaged, and I wasn't engaged yet. So I was the single person that wasn't engaged yet. Then I get engaged, and by this time, all my friends are married. So then I'm the engaged one, great, almost in the club, but not quite in the club. Finally, I get married, and all my friends that got married are now in the I've had a baby. So no matter what, I was kind of like a little bit behind the bar. And I think what I've had to realize is, like, Shani, it's your life and timing.
Absolutely.
And you can't put yourself in anyone's box. And I think being single and I would say, do you feel there's more challenges in being single now that you're in your 30s opposed to when you are in your 20s? Do you feel like people look at it differently because they assume that once you've passed, and I don't even know what that threshold age is. Is it 30? I really don't know.
I don't know either,
that all of a sudden, like, certain things should be happening because you're at a certain age.
I wouldn't say that I personally experienced this, like, major, oh, you're 30, you better, or you're over 30 and you should be. I think it's always just been one of those things that it's expected for women to want to get married, which we do. And it should be happening. Like, you should be in a relationship. You should be. And if you aren't dating right now and you are single, then the question is why? And the question is, what's wrong?
Yes.
And
what's wrong with you?
Yeah. And I remember vividly going on this guy's live, and he was basically saying to single women, very impressionable, that certain women who dress a certain way will never attract a godly man. And I said to myself, well, I've seen several people and several men of the cloth choose women who might not, quote unquote, meet the look per se, and chose them. And
when you say the look, you mean like the godly look?
I guess like the godly look, or the super modest perception that they think that, oh, a godly man. And let me tell you something, godly men are men.
They got eyes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. They got DMs too because they be in them.
Oh,
but we're not going to talk about that now.
Another show. Another
one. But to that point, it really made me realize and want to encourage women, before you go on these lives and listen to single men about what married men want, catch that? Single men about what married men want. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then those things will be added. Because I can imagine being maybe a younger woman that's just figuring it out and feeling like, well, if I look the part, they'll pick me. And when they don't pick you, now you're like, but I did all these things. No. Seek ye first the kingdom. Whoever is meant for you is not going to be worried about your clothes. So one misconception is that there is, in a way, I guess, this manual. There's, if you're not gonna get a godly man. I've seen several godly men choose women that are, quote unquote, not godly.
Right.
So what is it?
Right.
So you sit here frustrated trying to mold and morph yourself to fit into some type of ideal woman when inevitably God has made you the way you're supposed to be. And if you seek him, he'll change your heart. He'll change your desires. He'll make you the woman that he's called you to be. And I promise while you're focusing on him, somebody will come along and honor that. And so that's a frustrating
I'm a witness of that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it too is, which, yes, the Bible does talk about modesty, but I think unfortunately a lot of times people want to take that, which Paul was talking about, and take it out of context of the time frame of what it's supposed to be. And also I think people also equate modesty to frumpiness and homeliness.
And elderly.
Child. Or sometimes people equate modesty even to that must mean purity and virginity and whatever. Look, she could be wearing a turtleneck and you don't know what's going on.
And it's true. I know several up to the neck down here. But let the church doors close and be living a completely different lifestyle. But they looked the part.
Ultimately, men are physical creatures. That is one of the ways that they, women a lot of times can look at the heart. And not to say that women don't have a certain amount of attractiveness that they need. But I think attractiveness for women is a little bit different. We can look at other factors and be able to say, okay, but this is a great man for these other reasons as well. You're going to catch his eye first,
for sure,
and then he's going to run back and be like, "Oh, let me see what her mind, her heart is like."
Right.
But there has to be something that's attracted to there first. So at the end of the day, that may mean different things for people. Different people. We're not telling someone necessarily how to dress and how to look and what to be. If certain things just aren't your thing, they're not your thing. But at the same time, I hear what you're saying in terms of don't necessarily let how you look physically be a deterrent of what people think people should be attracted to or what your value is or isn't, or that somehow you're not worthy also because of maybe what you choose in fashion.
Absolutely.
And we're also not telling people to go out here and dress all kinds of crazy, but you know it. Y'all are adults. Y'all watch it.
I just think about impressionable, like young people. There are some things that people are just growing through.
Correct.
And so what I don't want is...
And both of us have worked with... You teach, so you see it. I've worked with youth and young adults for the majority of my life. And it's true. There's phases.
There are
Sometimes
phases.
they go through those phases.
But what you don't want is this disingenuous transformation that is rooted in, if I do this, then I'll get a man. Because that's not in your heart. That's not even who you are.
And before we go to our game, what is something that you feel that someone who is married, that you would maybe either consider a friend or that you would consider someone close, how can they support you in your single journey? Or is there anything that you wish you would be able to hear from them that, or get advice from them that would make it a little bit easier as you are waiting for God to send whoever it is that he may have for you? Yeah, no, that's really good. I know for me, and I love that about you, I know Carrie is very good at that too. Yeah. At a lot of my married single friends, you guys should too, that just came to mind. You guys, I love that. And it's not something that I wish, because you guys do it. You guys understand that you've been a woman longer than you've been a wife. That's good. And that level of relatability to single women is so powerful. Because at the end of the day, guys, you've been a woman longer than... So this whole idea, when you become a wife, everybody just forgets. Girl, I don't know what you mean? You don't know. You've been a woman longer... How you just forget everything when you get married. That is just such a awkward, disingenuous falsehood. And so sometimes it can come off a little like, okay, so now you're weird now because... you're married, so you don't know, you can't relate to nothing over here. Girl. And so I am grateful for that. And so I would say to viewers, and if God blesses you, lean into married women, for women who are willing to relate on a womanly level. You know what I mean? I think a part of that is realizing, that I'm an individual woman. When I die, I'm not dying as a married woman. I'm dying by myself.
Born in by yourself.
Born in by myself. I go out by myself.
Yeah.
But I think that's a part of, I love that you bring that up because it's true. In my mind, yes, I am married and I'm grateful for that. But I'm still very much Shani first. Just Shani.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my husband feels the same way. You know, he lived his life as a single man longer than he has married too. But even in marriage, I think another part of it is we realize that marriage is something that we get to do and we've chosen to do. It's not a requirement.
Yeah,
and I think we live in an age where people feel like it is a requirement for you to get married. If as you get to a certain age, if you haven't been able to get married yet, then that is throwing. I get all that, and yes, marriage definitely plays a really huge role in society and multiplying and children and all the things. Even though we have plenty of people that don't necessarily need that to multiply. But that's another show, another episode. Another show, another episode. And me and my husband have chosen to be together, and together, yes, we are dynamic, and there's great things that are about us, but we love being able to have the time away from each other to spend with people who are friends, whether married or single. And I do think that that is an important part. And I think for me, I had married friends who also did that for me, but I also feel like being married a little bit later allowed marriage not to be my identity.
Amen.
A lot of women, when they become a wife, that can become who they are, period. And that's where you get the awkwardness you're talking about, where it's like, well, how do you even know how to function as anything outside of that?
Right.
I don't ever want to get to that point. I feel like being a wife is a beautiful title that's been added to who I am, but it doesn't make up all of who I am.
So that's beautiful that you said that. It's a title that's added, right? It doesn't consume who you are. But then, you know, the Bible tells us we are overcome by the word of our testimony. And so to be able to have a desire, sit with women and people who are living that and can say, hey, this is amazing, but sis, this is work. So what I need you to do is when I was singing, that's what we mean by community and conversation is with an H. Work, okay? Rihanna, work, right? And so if you think you're losing or leaving one job to go to another one that doesn't require much work, actually it might require more. And so it's that level of relatability, because I think sometimes in singleness and when you're operating and doing life on your own, the devil has a way of making you feel like it's just you. And so when you have community and women who are willing to say, girl, stop, I remember when, it's like, oh, okay, this is normal. Like, there are just things and commonalities as women we will always share, and don't forget that. Don't be so consumed that like you just can't relate. And that's the part that honestly becomes like a turnoff. You're like, so I got to become this whole different person, just to you know.
Not doing
I don't think God has called anybody to that.
No, not doing all that.
He didn't say that on the phone.
No,
we had talked.
Yeah, you're right.
That wasn't on the time. Bless you.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are going to take a quick break. Not that I have a commercial. And we're going to come back with our game.
Well, we will, because we're going to get sponsors.
Well, prophesy.
Sponsees. Okay.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the discussion between me and Monica. And like I said, I decided I just want to play a game with my friend because I want to. And it's going to be fun, okay? I don't really need any big reason. But no, I'm really just going to play a game of this or that. And all of my questions are either dating related or like guy preference related. So
I haven't seen these.
She has not on purpose. So her answers will be her genuine answers. My reactions to her answers will be my genuine reactions to her answers. All right, so this one has to do with first dates.
Okay.
Movie and dinner or picnic and adventure.
Picnic and adventure.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because movies, child, I've been wanting to wear sweats these days. Like, I used to back in the day, like, really try to get cute for the movies. I am cold, okay? I am cold. And I know if it's a first date, what we finna do is dark. We can't converse. Take me to some adventures.
Yes. Plus, you know, these COVID days put a whole nother spin. Okay. Maybe we need to be on the outside having some fun.
Right.
Okay. Body build. Slender and athletic or big and buff. I know, right? They both got they little chimes.
I'm gonna go, oh my gosh, because I'm already pretty lean. I think I'm gonna go big and buff because I am such a lean gal.
Understandable.
But then, like, if he's like tall, athletic, it might.
See,
child, I don't know. But since it's this or that, I'm gonna go with bacon buff.
See, she's making a definite. See, sometimes you just gotta make a decision. You just gotta make a choice.
Bacon buff.
But I can see that. And to be honest, I think you win on either one. It really just depends.
Sure.
On what God gave you.
For sure.
I've dated both.
But
I married the slender and athletic.
Right.
Even though sometimes when he gets in the gym, he might get a little bit more buffed.
A
little bit more buffed. All right. I'm so stupid. Features. Now this one's gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. This one might be a little rough.
No.
Good skin or nice teeth.
Teeth.
Well.
Teeth.
Well.
Go to the dentist. Your teeth matter. Are you guys looking? Okay. Teeth. You need to go to the dentist.
Look, because you can't be all in the mouth.
What?
Look.
You see how fast I answered that? Teeth.
I thought it was going to be difficult. She said, look.
Child, we can work on the skin. Them teeth, though.
Look.
We need a plan and constant visits.
Granted, you can work on both.
That's true, but if it's
however,
like initial, when I meet you, that mouth.
Yeah.
We can work on the skin later. If the mouth is off, I'm out.
Okay, personality. Quiet and reserved or life of the party.
Oh, gosh.
Again,
I like them both for different reasons. I am a fan of a quiet and reserved because I am definitely like a
right.
But I prefer to chill with somebody who is reserved.
Right.
But then on the flip side, I like to laugh a lot. So I'm gonna say life of the party for sure.
And the last this or that question is character. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because it ain't going to be what you think.
Right.
Choir boy or church musician? Huh?
Neither. Okay. First of all, they're associated with church, which means y'all got church antics and you don't have the Holy Ghost. If I have to choose, I'd have to do the musician.
They're usually a little cooler. Just a little bit. They're usually a little cooler, but they usually also need some character adjustments. That's why I did that one that way, because I said, you know what?
You see my face, the terror, the horror. Scram.
Oh my gosh.
Ollie.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is it for our this or that game. Hopefully you enjoyed this small little segment, and we'll be back with the faith fact. So, what is this week's faith fact? Whether you live as a single or married person, being whole within yourself is ultimately the goal. Neither one of those things, being single or married, makes you whole. In order to be whole, you really need to, in my opinion, because this is not necessarily a Christian show, but I'm a Christian woman, so you're just going to get it real how it is. But you need to have a relationship with the Lord that allows you to be whole. And what does that mean? Being able to be healed from any of the past hurts you have, being able to recognize some of the things within yourself that may not be that great, that may not make you possibly a great mate for someone else, but also that just don't make you a great person, because you have a choice of whether you want to be married or not. Marriage is something that is, I believe, a gift from God, but it is something that you want to desire. There's some people that literally just don't desire to be married, and that's okay. And they live great single lives, and they do a lot of things for a lot of people because of that. And then there's others who decide and have the gift of marriage and are able to live their lives in that way, and also still do a lot of great things with their lives with each other and for people. But I want people to realize that your marital status, whether you're single or married, is not the thing that makes you. And I think a lot of times in society, while marriage I think is beautiful, and I love that people can revere marriage to a certain level, I don't think it's what should allow you to know whether you're valued or not. And at the end of the day, it's about being a whole person. It's about being a healthy person. And biblically, he says the two becometh one. And you need two whole things to be one whole thing. So hopefully you all enjoyed this episode. You enjoyed what me and Monica brought to the table. Is there anything you have to say about that faith fact, friend?
No, I think you wrapped it up. I love it.
Yeah. Well, that is all. But as always, I thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking, sharing. And again, follow my friend Monica at Summertime in the Winter on Instagram.
Summertime Fine.
I'm sorry, Summertime Fine. Don't forget the fine.
You won't
fine
find
she
me.
is. Fine she is, okay? Summertime fine in the winter. And you can hear a lot of the wisdom that she has to share on her Instagram as well. And of course, you all already know you can follow me at ShaniSpeaksNow. And this always has to end with the motto. And people, you should know what the motto is at this point. Always keep the faith and let the Lord fight your battles. Until next time, love y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Want to get a dose of motivation every Friday? Well, hit that notification button to subscribe so you never miss out. And feel free to share the encouragement with a friend. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram at ShaniSpeaksNow and keep the good vibes going week long. Thanks so much for watching and see you next Friday. We did it! I talked with my friend Monica today. We talked about singles and married on the way. Hey, 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 hey. Why does I knew at some point it's going to turn into
Because we're churchy. It's all right though, because you got them on the inside.
on the inside, okay?